Initially, I was on the show Fan 4, and then they began the expansion process of local programming for Buffalo, Western New York, and the state. And then they came up with the idea, Bob came up with the idea of having pros and cons, and said, well, let's get some of the media so-called giants. I take a look at me, I'm only 6'2", 190. And so consequently, we formed a trio of people.
Putting Art Wander into a room to talk sports with anyone is a potential powder keg. And when the show hit the air in 1992, the explosive lineup did not disappoint. The combination of the three led to interesting and spirited debate on a weekly basis with some surprising alliances.
All those things, you're going to win football games.
Let me climb in on Art's side right here.
Right, I'm full.
The offensive coordinator has a lot to do with it.
Strange as it sounds, and as strange as it seems to me to be admitting it, I agree with Art on almost everything, still do. And we used to gang up on Ed every now and then, depending on who the guest was.
Ed Kilgore and I became very, very good friends. Ed, of course, is now the Dean of Broadcasters on television as far as sports is concerned in Western New York, and he has been involved in so many things. And the three of us offered different views, different slants. Ed had his own view, Larry had his own view, and I had my own view, and it's what was on our minds at that particular time.
We've already seen so many blown calls already early in the season that I think
doesn't matter. The flow of the game, 2 hours 45 minutes.
Hey, the games are longer. Art, the games are longer this year. Oh, yes, they are.
You're believing their propaganda.
I thought that Bettman made a very strong statement there. Yeah,
little late.
Little late. What are you talking about?
Little late.
Little late. Art, get reasonable. Get reasonable.
You're nuts. Sorry. No, don't get you personally.
We know he's nuts.
He doesn't mean that in a negative way.
You don't. No.
I found out that Art really wasn't the jerk I thought he was. He was far worse. There were a few times I wanted to strangle Art.
In the network's infancy, the resources for doing the show were sometimes slim at best, and it often led to some production difficulties.
Well, we first started doing it in the Adelphia building, and it was a small studio, and you know, it was one of those deals that was upstairs next to a vacant lot. You know, I mean, it was as I say, it was primitive. Then we went over to the new studios, and eventually, I mean, it was like going into NBC in the new studios. It was such a polished operation, and everybody was so professional. I don't know, we might have let things slide now and then when we were at the old place, but once we got into our new trappings, I mean, you just felt you had to be at your best because it was such a glitchy operation and so professional.
Something good happens. That's it. You get more excitement watching the Earl of Bud. He probably gets more cheers than the game on the ice. And I'll tell you, it is very disturbing. I say, what kind of fans are these? My microphone just went.
Well, here, speaking of mine, but don't get too close.
However,
I told you I was going to tear his microphone off.
He did. He tore my microphone apart. Anyway, get some.
The show's second segment always incorporated a media guest or sports celebrity to bring in a fresh perspective on sporting issues.
It gave them a chance to do something different, something they were not able to do at their individual stations. They were able to sit and interact with their colleagues, you know, on subjects that they had opinions on, but maybe were not able to get them across in the type of format that they were given on a normal basis.
In the 4 years the show ran, its hosts rarely agreed on anything with the exception of their favorite guest.
Al McGuire was wonderful.
Al McGuire didn't do the tap dance that day. You know, he wasn't getting paid network numbers, but he opened up a little bit, and I enjoyed it, and I think he enjoyed being on.
As good a one as we had was McGuire, the basketball analyst, and of course he was just a great trip.
I'll never forget the show we did with Al McGuire, and he sat in with us one day, and it was like I didn't want the time to end, and I treasure the time we were able to spend with him because it was just a fascinating moment for all of us, and we all felt the same way, and we just didn't want him to leave.